Tonight, I'll be taking you on Romania's incredible 18-hour overnight train to Vienna. I'll be riding in a beautiful private sleeper compartment as we pass through the stunning Carpathian mountains on our 1,000-kilometer long journey to Austria. Along the way, I'll show you all the train's features and share my unexpected prolonged stay on board as we travel across much of Central Europe. This is the overnight train Dacia from Bucharest to Vienna. Our journey begins from the impressive Gare du Nord station in Bucharest. And despite the name sort of implying the existence of other major train stations being located throughout the city, Gare du Nord is where the far majority of services start and end their trips. Right, time to head inside the station building. While the station is looking a little bit tired, the station interior is really impressive. Along the main corridor here, you'll find plenty of shops and services. And what I really like about the station is the great display of pictures from various Romanian train lines and infrastructure projects. I also love how they still update the old manual timetable poster board here and the classic Romanian railway jingle. However, these days it is easier to get train information on your phone or using the electronic screens. As our train hasn't been assigned a platform yet, I can show you the rest of the station. Along the corridor by the end of the platforms, you'll find even more shops and food outlets, as well as a direct entrance to the metro station. Another thing Bucharest station features is a buffet of second-hand trains from all over Europe, including these IC2 units from my home country of Denmark. But there's of course also plenty of slightly more Romanian rolling stock. And speaking of which, our Romanian night train operated by CFR, the national operator, has just been announced to be departing from track 5. And being reversed into the platform just 8 minutes before scheduled departure time is our train. The train consists of a mix of seated, couchette and sleeper carriages. The first of the total of 4 locomotives that will be used to get our train to Vienna is this CFR Type 47, capable of 160 km per hour. And with our train departing very soon, let's get on board and find our cabin. This is the newest kind of sleeper carriages in CFR's fleet, built around 2009 by Austria here in Romania. And while some of the cabins feature an en-suite bathroom, including a shower, the cabin I was randomly assigned was unfortunately just a regular one with a wash basin. But still, even the standard cabin is looking very cozy, and we'll have a look at it in detail later during the journey. But for now, we are departing Bucharest about 3 minutes behind schedule. On our way out of the station, we pass by the Austria night train, Romania's privately built and run luxury night train. Let me know if this is something you'd like to see a video on. And after navigating the points out of the station, our train can begin accelerating. So I think it's about time we have a look at the route map for today's journey. Our mammoth journey starts from Bucharest by heading north, crossing through the Carpathian mountains, up to Brasov. From here we'll head west through the night till we arrive with the border with Hungary in the middle of the night. We continue onwards to Budapest for an early morning arrival, before the train finally continues towards Vienna with a scheduled arrival time at 8:20. This is a distance of 1,123 kilometers, scheduled to take 18 hours 40 minutes, giving the train an average speed of 60 kilometers per hour. The first part of the journey is not very spectacular, as we just speed along the relatively flat plains. This will however change fairly soon, So let's have a look at the compartment first. We'll get very familiar with this over the next more than 18 hours. The compartment can be locked from the inside using these two locks. Above the door is where you'll find the control panel for the lights, as well as temperature and volume of the announcements and the night light. The shelf above the corridor features space to store luggage, as well as the shelf above the wash basin. A few coat hooks are also provided, and the room sleeps up to 3 people, with the top bunk currently folded away. The top bunks can be equipped with a harness to prevent falling during the trip. The bed looks comfortable and wide, but I'll tell you how I slept tomorrow morning. In the cabins without an en-suite toilet, you will find a wash basin instead. A small hygiene kit is provided. The water pressure was okay, and some water was also provided for drinking. Next to the wash basin, you will find an interconnecting door if you like your neighbors, as well as the ladder to help you reach the top bunks. And trust me, it's a lot easier to set up when you're not filming with one hand. By the bed, you'll also find an electrical outlet as well as a reading light. Overall, it's a comfortable and cozy place to be spending what turned out to be a lot more than 18 hours in. We are hastily speeding along and soon coming up on our first station stop. This is Ploiesti Vest, one of the 2 major stations serving this important railway junction city, and the start of the main line through the Carpathian mountains, which can now slowly be seen appearing in the distance. But before we get to the best scenery, let's take a look at the shared toilet and shower facilities. These can be found at the end of the carriage. It's been a while since I've seen a sliding door like this, but here we have the toilet. A basic lock is provided. I hope it's locked. And while the toilet is looking a bit tired, it was functional. However, the shower was completely broken, with the water instead just leaking out of the temperature control handle. So I wouldn't count on having a shower on this train. In addition to the sleeper cars, 2 other kinds of accommodation is offered on board. This is the cheaper and older Couchette carriage, offering hostel-style accommodation, shared rooms with 4 to 6 bunk beds. And while not as private or comfortable as a sleeper carriage, it's still a great way to travel this route on a budget. The train also features a few seated carriages, either in compartments or airline-style seating. This train no longer carries a dining car for most of its route, and only sometimes a small bistro selling drinks and snacks can be found towards the rear of the train, so bring your own food. Back in my cabin, and we can now see the scenery slowly change, with the hills just slowly getting bigger and bigger. On our way through the mountains, our train also calls in various smaller towns. Many of these are excellent starting points for hiking trails and outdoor holidays, with the train being the most convenient way to access. And I mean, I can see the appeal, just look at these mountains. In addition to this route being known for its amazing scenery, the section up to Brasov is also the most competitive on Romanian railways, with no fewer than 5 different companies all offering competing services on this railway line. For instance, this is Softrans, who has 3 special multiple units manufactured in Romania by its parent company. Our train continues to climb into the mountains as we are currently passing over the highest section of the line. But as the line has mostly been able to follow a river valley, the need for tunnels has actually been fairly minimal. and as the sun goes down behind the hills, we have almost crossed the mountains. And with the passing almost complete, we can get back up to speed. What a stunning evening for some train travel. Our train is now on the approach to Brasov, Romania's 6th largest city, and its station is under heavy reconstruction, which will bring the station up to modern standards and allow for more smooth train operations here. Our train has a scheduled stop of 5 minutes here, allowing you to quickly stretch your legs and catch some fresh air. Or have a quick look at our locomotive, which still has another 5 hours to go before the next locomotive change. And now it's time to get back on board before we ride into the night and get some dinner. We depart Brasov a little late, due to the line ahead being single track and occupied by an incoming late train. But trains in Romania have a lot of padding, so we might be able to make most of this up during the night. And with the last bit of daylight almost gone, it's time to get cozy in the cabin. And with no dining car on board, dinner tonight is the supermarket special. And before it's bedtime, we have one thing left to do. And that is to watch our train get combined with the service from Cluj-Napoca, as well as the locomotive change. With this taking place in the fairly small town of Simeria at around 22. As the train from Cluj is running a little late, we are sat here for quite a while. But eventually the one carriage and our new locomotive from Cluj appears in the distance. And with our trains now united, we are almost ready to continue. And despite being very similar to the locomotive hauling us here, this CFR Class 40 is a bit smaller and only capable of 120 km per hour. This locomotive will haul us as far as the border with Hungary. And that is in the middle of the night, where border control also happens at the same time, so it's time to go to bed. Back when I took this train, Romania weren't fully part of Schengen, meaning in the middle of the night, you first had to show your passport to Romanian officials. Then the train quickly crosses over the border, and then you repeat the process with the Hungarians. However, after the Austrians finally stopped blocking Romania's full entry into Schengen, the border controls have now also been lifted for rail services, meaning you no longer have to do all this faff with showing your passport for no reason in the middle of the night. However, the Austrians weren't quite done disrupting this trip, but more on that after I get some more sleep. I wake up again on the approach to Budapest Keleti station. This is one of Europe's most beautiful rail terminals. Unfortunately, in order to avoid passengers boarding here accidentally getting on the sleeper carriages instead of the Hungarian passenger carriages currently being added to the front, the staff locks the doors on the sleepers and only briefly allowed me to get this quick clip. So, you'll have to trust me here that we got our Bombardier, now Alstom Traxx locomotive, swapped for a Siemens EuroSprinter. And as we make our way out of Budapest, the day is slowly starting to begin with the sun rising. I enjoyed most of the sunrise from the comfort of the bed, which was actually really good. And if it wasn't because of the border controls and me wanting to wake up to show you stuff in the middle of the night, I think I would have been able to get a great night of mostly uninterrupted sleep. Especially because the pillow and blanket provided was really comfortable. We're now approaching the Hungarian border town with Austria. And despite only running a little bit behind schedule, something was feeling a bit off. We were set way beyond scheduled departure time, just watching other trains go by and by. It quickly became evident that we weren't gonna go anywhere for quite a while. So I went off to investigate. So turns out that Hegyeshalom is the crew changeover point between the Austrian and Hungarian train crews. And the way it's set up here is that the morning EuroCity train from Vienna is scheduled to meet here with our sleeper train from Budapest and Bucharest. The Austrian crew boards our train and takes it back to Vienna, with our Hungarian crew taking the other EuroCity back to Budapest. And as the train from Vienna this morning departed Vienna 70 minutes late, we are stuck here till it arrives. With the outlook of not going anywhere for the next hour-ish, I went to the Hungarian dining car that got attached in Budapest to grab a coffee. In fact, our train ended up being so late that an hour later, where the same changeover is planned between two railjet trains, meant that the Budapest-Vienna railjet service an hour behind us now had to be put in front. Quite a few passengers jumped on this here, getting them to Vienna at least a little quicker. And finally, a good hour and 25 minutes behind schedule, the train we have been waiting for is appearing in the distance. This train is also meant to be carrying the night train carriages from Stuttgart and Zurich to Budapest. However, these are missing today, so perhaps they got stuck somewhere and it was decided to let the Vienna to Budapest portion go on its own after finding an available locomotive in Vienna. Anyway, that's all speculation, but as our new train crew is here, we can finally get going back to Vienna. And after letting the Budapest-bound train depart first and play us some beautiful music, we finally depart Hegyeshalom at 8:55, about 83 minutes late. The Austrian border is just behind the station, with the border being right here just before this small building. From here, it should take us just under an hour to reach the main station in Vienna, which means it's time for breakfast. And while I could have walked all the way up to the Hungarian dining car, it's another supermarket special this morning. And as we're getting fairly close to Vienna now, it's time to sum up my thoughts on the Dacia. This train for sure is an experience, and while it's not the greatest night train in the world, the actual room and bed is pretty good, but the lack of a dining car on the Romanian portion of the route is a big disappointment for such a long train journey. The train is by no means super fast, reliable or brand new, but it's a relaxing and comfortable way to get between the cities if you got the time. And compared to a lot of other night trains serving Vienna, it's actually not too expensive to catch the Dacia. A private room in a sleeper cabin like the one I had starts from about 850 Romanian lei or 169 euros. It's not cheap, but considering the train is scheduled to take about 18 hours, I think the price is fair. Prices vary based on demand and can easily be booked online on the international part of CFR's website, so book early for the cheapest price. In the end, we arrive at Vienna's main station, Wien Hauptbahnhof, at 09:43, some 83 minutes behind schedule, after around 20 hours on board this train. So, what do you think about the Dacia? Is it a train you would like to take? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, as I try to post a new one every Sunday. You can also follow me over on Blue Sky at intercitysimon.com. I usually post live from my travels over there, so it's a great place to get a sneak peek at what videos might be coming on the channel in the future. Thanks for watching.